What's up guys, it's me, Roku, enjoying a little Capri Sun here, back with more League content, and today I've got a very nice little announcement or just news for you guys. Darius is getting buffed. Patch 12.5 has been around for a month now. It was supposed to be like that. It's going to be around for twice the duration of a regular patch, which is 2 weeks. But yeah, that month is over and we're getting ready for patch 12.6. Every single time Riot has decided all their changes for a patch before the patch goes live, they release a preview of it the week before on their Twitter account. So if you go to @RiotVlogs, you'll get the patch notes a week before they come out officially, so you can stay up to date with how they're going to move the game in terms of the meta and whatnot. Now this patch has a lot of interesting changes. I'm very excited for the Treasure Hunter rune. I'm kind of glad that they're nerfing Blade of the Rune King because, you know, I hate Aurelia. I agree with the nerfs to Trinity and the Hecarim, and also the biggest thing there is for me, the Darius buffs. The buff they're giving him is basically increasing his default ult damage from 100 to 300 to 125 to 375. So the way it's going to be in game is it's going to do 125 damage rank 1, rank 2 250, and rank 3 375 instead of 100, 200, 300. Now I've read a lot of different thoughts about these changes on the Darius main subreddit and also my own personal Discord. Invite link in the description. One of the main things that have been confusing me about the general reactions to these buffs is that a lot of people tend to underrate how impactful they will be. Some say that, oh, it's just 25 extra damage, it's not going to do anything, and others say that, oh, they are quite okay buffs, but his weaknesses lie elsewhere, so they're not really necessary. This doesn't really address any of his weaknesses, so it's not actually going to change his win rate at all. Now, I disagree on both of these points, and I'm going to explain to you why. First off, let's just get the basic thing straight. This isn't just 25, 50, or like 75 extra damage. It's going to be 50, 100, and 150 extra damage, because remember, there's his ult doubles the amount of damage it deals when you target it on a 5-stack champion. I've even done the tests and compared the damage ult does from live service to PvE. I'll put them on the screen, and as you can see, ult damage has gone from somewhere around low 300s to somewhere around high 300s. Now I know this is obvious, that's what a 50 damage increase does, but it does change how we calculate our ult damage. Now when I play Darius at level 6, the threshold in my brain that is like, okay, at this point the enemy will die, is just a bit over 300. So around 310, 320, 330, these are the parts where I ult to kill my target at 5 stacks. What this buff has done is change that threshold from low 300s to around 400. So when the enemy has just below 400 health, then you ult to kill them at level 6. To the newer players who don't really understand Darius that much right now, this might sound like a bunch of, you know, gobbledygook, as they say, but this is really impactful because that 50 extra damage is an extra auto attack, it's an extra Q, it's an extra ability, it's a few seconds removed from the fight that you can just kill the enemy in. I do understand that it won't be the most impactful thing in 1v1s, but when it comes to team fights, this ult change is going to be absolutely huge. Now Darius has a lot of weaknesses. His mobility is quite low, his tankiness is kind of horrible because he does get blown up in seconds, but one of his other weaknesses is that once you do get your hands on someone, they can be quite difficult to put down with your ultimate. There's so many things in the game like heals, shields, Lulu ults, whatever, things that basically like impact the HP of champions that prevent you from ult killing them. Immortal Shield Bow being another example that is very, very accessible. Just think back to your own games. How many occasions have you ulted someone just for them to like absorb all that ult damage through some BS shield or whatever? Just think back. How many times have you ulted someone and they almost died, but then the ult didn't kill them, and then you had to finish them off with an auto attack, but without your ultimate, you couldn't carry the rest of the fight? What this extra ult damage does is a big portion of those close calls are now in our favor. You will not need that extra auto attack to kill the ADC. You will not need to wait an additional second for the bleed to tick for you to flash in and ult the target and kill them. You will just ult them at that second and get your Smite and kill everyone. This buff is primarily going to impact his gameplay when it comes to team fights because you're just going to be a lot faster at getting your Smite. Season 12 and Season 11 have team fights going a lot faster. Everyone's running around with a lot more damage, one-shotting each other, everyone's just way more mobile, has a lot more healing, and the main idea with Darius is that it's now faster to get at an ult reset than to stack up to 5. Darius is not a champion without his Noxian Might. He has 2 ways to get it: stack up to 5, or just kill someone with his ultimate in a one-shot combo. Because of how fast teamfights are in the current season, we no longer have that time to stack up to 5 a target and then ult kill them. If you try to stack someone up to 5 stacks, you'll mostly just get CC'd and one-shot by the enemy backline. But with this extra ultimate damage, our one-shot combo becomes a lot more devastating. You can basically pull a squishy, RWQ and then just ult them, or maybe RWQ auto ult them and just straight kill them one shot without them being able to do anything about it. Darius is going to be a way bigger backline threat because this buff has essentially made him faster at killing squishies. And then once you get the Noxian Might reset, oh man, that's 100 extra damage every single time you press ult. In my opinion, this is going to be a massive buff to Darius' team fighting because it's just going to lead to you winning out a lot more scenarios. But it's not going to be the smallest buff to his laning either. Now, ultimates only come around at level 6, so it's not really going to help him beat some of his annoying laners or even ignite for that matter, but into a lot of lanes, you now have the option to just wait for your level 6 and then go for an all-in then. If the lane is not going too well, if you're getting out-traded, destroyed, you can simply just wait for your ultimate and then go for some dunk time extreme kill on the enemy. This buff is going to make it so that it's slightly easier to win lane, but for those of us who've already been winning lane, it's going to make it easier for us to carry our teams and really just destroy team fights 1v9 style. Now, how are these buffs going to impact his win rate and his viability across all elos? When it comes to low elo, Darius is going to be slightly easier to play in my opinion, because we're getting a lot more ult damage, so more ult kills. Now, there is a thing that if you're fed as Darius in low elo, people kind of don't play around you properly so you can stomp team fights anyway. But in those games where you haven't quite clearly won lane yet, you're going to have a lot better time being relevant in low elo teamfights because of these extra damages. One of the main problems that I have in my coaching students, especially when they're low rank, is that they can't really land their ult on time. They're either too late or too early, and they just don't get that kill in time to impact the fight. This buff is going to help you guys land more ultimate resets and basically let you carry games even if you're slightly behind. Now, for those of you in mid elo, which I'm going to call it platinum and low diamond, you guys are going to absolutely love these changes because people at these ranks have absolutely mastered Darius' damage. You know exactly how much damage Darius does with his combos, his ultimate at all ranks, so this extra damage is going to be way more useful to you guys. So for those of you who are platinum or low diamond, pick Darius up again because it's time to crush games. For those of you in high elo, this buff is going to be quite big or just unimpactful depending on the game, because Darius is still very situational. The main reason why Darius isn't really played that much in high elo is because he's way too situational. You can't pick him into every single team, you gotta pick which teams to play him into. If the enemy team has a lot of peel, a lot of mobility, or a Zeri, you're still not going to do anything to them as Darius, even with this extra damage. But if you do play him into a melee composition, then that is where the fun begins. You're going to start dunking way more, and with the extra ult damage, players who don't even have that much experience on Darius can start playing more Darius. So for those of you high elo people who are watching the video who don't play Darius yet, it's time to pick him up and keep him around as a nice pocket pick into these big melee teams that you can just dominate by yourself. Now, for those of you who've been with the channel for a while and know my opinions on Darius' state in the balance, you will know that I think damage is not something he needs to be more powerful. In my opinion, he needs changes to his tankiness or his mobility in order to make sure he can fit in better with the Season 12 roster. But with these buffs, Riot has basically given us a clear view of what they want Darius to be. Darius is no longer going to be a generally good champion that you can pick into everything. He's going to be a champion that you can only pick into some things, but when you do pick him into those things, he's going to be insanely powerful. This is only for high elo, by the way. In low elo, pick him whenever and just stomp your games. But in high elo, Darius is specifically going to be kept around as a champion who stomps melee teams if you win your lane. Not the buff I wanted, but who knows, maybe this is the buff that I needed. Alright everybody, that is pretty much it for this video. Before you leave though, I have a special new announcement to make. I have a new series coming to the channel, NA Adventures. For those of you who don't know, I play primarily on EU West because I do live in Germany. I'm not even American despite the accent. but that does not mean that I can't play on the NA server. I've heard a lot of talk about how NA is over the years that I've been making content in, and I think it's finally time that I pay you guys a visit. I'll be uploading episodes of these new series to this YouTube channel, and also playing the games out on my Twitch streams, so go check out my Twitch streams at these times, link in the description, to watch me play through these games live. Anyway guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.